Good morning and welcome to our Dungarvan studios on what is a sad day. Even though the sun is shining, people are out and about with smiles on their faces. The news has broken this morning that Brendan Bowyer has died. We're going to be talking to Matt Keane and Johnny O'Connor about the legend that is Brendan Bowyer in a few minutes. Firstly, a quick message that we have a lot coming up on the programme. We're going to be talking about the North Quays with Rob Cass. We're going to be talking about life-saving, and particularly this weekend, there's no lifeguards on duty, folks. Be very, 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 very careful this weekend. John Kiley is going to remember the great Waterford footballer Michael Prendergast, and we're going to talk also about the great sporting heroes, our list of the great sporting heroes for our Flahavans Association that we're doing over the month of June. I'm going to go straight first, though, to Matt Keane and Johnny O'Connor. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Damien. Good morning, Damien. Right, Johnny.
Matt, I'll come to you in a second. Johnny O'Connor, you have played many gigs over the years. You've been involved in many different bands, and in terms of the show band era, Matt will talk a little bit about Brendan and the documentary he's done on him as well, and the memories. But just tell me, Johnny O'Connor, where does Brendan Bowyer rate in the history of show band eras?
Oh yes, very, very high. He rates very highly in the history of the country. In so far as that, he was Ireland's first great pop hero. He was really the first of them. He was a huge name. Maybe young people today mightn't understand just how big the Royal Show Band were. They were huge. They were huge here and in Britain, and with the Irish. Now, of course, Val Doonican and Gilbert O'Sullivan came after, and they probably were bigger on the international stage. But Brendan was homegrown, and they were huge. I mean, people. If you could imagine ballrooms that can hold 2,000 and 3,000 people, and if you can imagine queues around the block waiting to get in. That's the kind of course, they were also, it wasn't Brendan, it was the late Tom Dunphy. The Royal Showmen were the first of the show bands to actually record and make records as well.
Matt Keane, it's a sad day, isn't it?
I couldn't believe it. You opened up the show by saying we all looked out our windows, beautiful sunshine, and then the news came through. Brendan Bowyer. I'm actually emotional because I really loved the man from a very young boy. I remember, as Johnny said, I used to be queuing trying to get into the Olympia ballroom to see Brendan and the Royal Show Band. And he's such a humble, lovely man. He was just a gorgeous man, but a fantastic singer. In my opinion, the greatest show band singer of all time, Brendan Bowyer was. I mean, they started off in the late 50s, and they just, they were the trailblazers for Waterford. They were absolutely incredible. And, of course, in 1962, that famous gig that's always talked about, 1962, in the Pavilion Theatre in Liverpool, when the Beatles actually supported the Royal Show Band, and that infamous chat between John Lennon and Brendan Bowyer and the lads, the Royal Show Band pulled up outside in a huge big bus, and the Beatles came along in their little battered cars, and that famous thing that Brendan Bowyer allegedly said to John Lennon, "Keep at it, lads, you'd end up like us someday." It's a fantastic story. And then, of course, in 1971, Brendan and Tom Dunphy formed the Big Eight, and they went off to America, and they were playing out in Las Vegas one night, and Elvis heard about this Irish singer. And he said, "I have to go in, I heard this guy is good." And he was bowled over, and that famous photograph, I have it autographed down in my room, Elvis and Brendan Bowyer together. Absolutely. He was great. And of course, in 2005, he performed for the Tall Ships down there on the quay. Brass & Co. actually backed him in 2005. I remember a glorious sunny day like it is today. Yeah. And, what a performance he gave down on the quay, 2005. BB, Brendan Bowyer, the day the music died.
Johnny?
Yeah, what we should remember, Damien, today too is Brendan is the third member of the 7-piece Royal Show Band, but there are 4 members still alive. Unfortunately, Tom Dunphy died in a car accident. Jim Conlon died later. But Eddie Sullivan, who was a trumpet player, Charlie Matthews, the drummer and singer, Jerry Cullen, piano player, and Michael Coppinger, they're all alive. Michael, unfortunately, is not very well, and he's in hospital. But there's four of the Royal Show Band. They really were trailblazers, and I offer my sympathies to them too, because they were all good friends.
Yeah, stay on the line, gentlemen.
And of course, Johnny, Michael Carpenter was the leader of the Royal Show Band. He was the man that used to pick out the sets for the ballroom gigs and that. And we must always remember that Michael Carpenter was the leader of the Royal Show Band. Brendan Bowyer and Tom Dunphy had the lads got the credit, but Michael Carpenter, he played a massive role in the story of the Royal Show Band.
Two of you stay on the line, gentlemen, because I want to come to you now in a second, because we want to hear a little bit of Brendan Bowyer talking about Into Kiss Me Quick. And this is from the documentary that Matt is putting out. It was due to put out on Monday night, Matt, and it's going to be very, very poignant. So here's a little bit of the great man talking about Kiss Me Quick.
Well, I was in William Street, actually,
and
it was the end, one of the end houses there on the terrace before. The three ships wouldn't have been there, And I remember as a young fellow, like one or two playing in the park, and there was turf. It was during the war, So about 1940, I was still there. My father then got an improvement in position in Limerick, and we went up to Limerick for about 10 years, for the 40s. And he came back here in 1950.
Mm-hmm. The Stanley, of course. He was an extraordinary man, wasn't he,
He was. He played a great part in the local scene musically. My father, he was... The Light Opera Festival, of course, he'd be remembered for more than that. They brought Grand Opera in, of course, at times also.
Mm-hmm. Did you work in the paper mills, Brendan?
I did. I did. Mm-hmm. It was the paper mill, and grand fond memories, and a lot of friends, and still meet people that were, even though the circle is getting thinner as we all get on in years. The paper mills was funny. I think I was getting I was on the wages department there, and I was getting about £3.17 and 6, I think it was. But when we started playing with the band, we get a few gigs, maybe at Mooncoin or nearby in places. We'd make a £5 each for the night. So we were kind of saying, my gosh, we're getting a £5 for Mooncoin, and I said, I'm all week slaving in there for that.
And that was Brendan talking about his upbringing into that documentary about Kiss Me Quick that Matt is doing. Matt, it's so poignant that you have this documentary going out on Monday evening.
Yeah, it was extraordinary because, for the last couple of months we've had the Sporting Legends one out, and Michael Bird and myself said, look, it's a bank holiday, why don't we just have, make it real happy and have Brendan Bowyer on it. And we all know what's after happening this morning. It's an emotional time, I have to say. It's a sad day, but look,
I can hear the emotion. I can hear the emotion in your voice, Matt. They gave
us such incredible enjoyment all down through the years, and it's the day the music died.
Johnny O'Connor, you want to wish your deepest sympathies and condolences to his family as well, I know.
Oh, of course I do. Brendan had 3 children, or has 3 children. Aisling sang with him for years, but she was actually a tennis coach. And Brendan Jr. That's Brendan Jr. He's a director of tennis. I think the last I knew that in one of the big top country clubs in America. Brendan Jr. was a Las Vegas kid. He grew up. Andre Agassi was his best friend. Growing up, they were kids around Las Vegas together, and years after, when Agassi was famous, at one time he was dating Barbara Streisand, even though she was a lot older than him. Then I think he married Brooke Shields, and I think he's still married to Steffi Graf. But that's Andre Agassi now. But always in America, celebrity is royalty.
Yes.
And Andre never forgot his friend Brendan, and several times a year. He'd always turn up at the country club and, to visit him. And, of course, Brendan's employers would be thrilled with that.
Yeah.
And then Claude, Claude is probably the least known, but Claude is very talented. She's a talented actor, and she's also a playwright. I can't remember the name of it now, but I know she had a play in the Galway Arts Festival there last September, I think.
And our deepest
So
sympathies,
there are three
our deepest sympathies go out to them all. Johnny O'Connor, thanks very much for joining us. Matt Keane, as you say, the day the music died, but the music will always live on as well, Matt, and that's one of the important things. And we're going to play a little bit of a hits here medley with Brendan Bowyer. Matt, it's going to be an emotional day for so many people in Waterford and beyond. Mind yourself and Johnny O'Connor, okay, gentlemen?
Thanks a lot, Damien. Take care, Johnny. Bye-bye.
Now, welcome back to the programme. Some people texting in, there should be a statue in the city to Brendan Bowyer, a great ambassador for Waterford City, County and the South East. We should do a full show of Brendan's hits. It would be a great tribute to him. Rest in peace. A lot of people texting in about that. Text and WhatsApp 083 3333 975. You can call Audrey on 051 846 123. We will probably do that next week or the week after, and we'll definitely, I know a lot of programmes will be playing a lot of his hits today, and the Hucklebuck King is no more. Our deepest sympathy from everybody in WR and all our listeners to all associated with the great Brendan Bowyer. My guest now is Rob Cass. Rob, it's, as I said, it's a sad day when a legend dies, isn't it?
He put us on a map. He was the first pop star, if you like, show star. Or that really, yeah, we're very fortunate in Waterford to have legends on a global scale.
And in a little while we'll be talking about sporting heroes. And I know it's funny, the broadcasting still has to go on, but and Brendan would know that better than anybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Falcon Real Estate is the company that you've been working with and representing, but you've also got quite a number of views on the university issue, which we'll come to in a minute. And appreciate you joining us this morning. Can I ask you a question, please? Where are we? Sorry for laughing, but where are we on the North Quays? Because you sent in a question to me yesterday asking Mary Butler, where's the government funding coming? And there's all these different strands, but where are we?
Yeah, well, the planning is in now, and further information, which is you'd expect at the moment. It's a massive scheme, so we'd expect to get planning on North Quays, having secured SDZ planning. And the importance for people is, and it's a strategic development zone, which means it was granted outline planning 2 years ago. And then it was just effectively putting all the detail to the boxes, as I call them. Now that planning will be granted, we hope, and we plan on it being mid-July worst case. So we will have planning. And effectively we've had planning for 2 years. This is just confirming that all the designs match what the plans were back 2 years ago.
How is the economic situation now and the lack of apparent funding coming down from central government affecting or potentially affecting that planning process, or is it too early to say?
It doesn't have any effect on the planning process.
No, not in the planning, but as things develop after that.
After the programme plan, it does have an impact. Yeah, it's like a mortgage, which is going, we're ready, okay, put the funds in. And effectively, the funds are being put in from our money, from 400 million transferred across in a bank account in the Exchequer, because it goes into a central pot and allocated across the different departments to recircle around. There's no government outlay. It's actually money's been put in, transferred around to departments, and then build a bridge, build a train, build roads. So it can be simply done with Leo saying, go make it happen with a swipe of a pen.
And this ties us in with the second thing about this potential that of reimagining Waterford City and County and the North Quays, and this idea of a reawakening of the city. I
think it's just the potential. I mean, we've always said if you stand back from what hasn't changed ever, pre-COVID and post-COVID, Waterford has always huge supply or massive potential. If you look at glass half full or glass half empty, it still has 6,000 homes that needs to be built within 60 minutes. It still needs offices. It still has that retail that we as a community are spending 3 times more money than inside the city and inside the county, which is a key message. If you fix the basics, it's way bigger than COVID. The downturn, and that's how we look at things. This was always going to be a catalyst. It's now probably even more so of going. It's still 2 years until it actually opens, but nothing has changed economically. The way it was designed was it's got the greenway going through it. It's got open spaces. It's got cafes outside. It's got the offices. We know now the tech companies have said 75% of them want to work from home in Dublin. 75% of Facebook and Google and all the saying work from home, lads. And we're going, well, we're just ahead of that. Maybe that's like Brendan Brendan and all the others, we were just kind of ahead of the trend. And that's what COVID has done. It's just brought forward the plans. But it's extremely frustrating probably for people saying what's happening. But all the work, and we were on with you, with Marion, who's in Karen Walsh, and Niall Harrington, who's the key players, and Michael Walsh going, this is done. It's in our mind, it's done. It now just needs to be built. So it's like my kids at home listening, Josh and Jodie and Hannah going, Dad just builds Lego. I can't do anything.
Special hello to them this morning.
Yeah, and it is. It's and that's a fundamental of why we do these things. It's for a better community. Where are they going to grow up and live and play? And your daughter's hopefully going to stay around, and my kids will be staying around because we made the future better for them. And actually, people need that in these times of God. Something to look forward to. It's happening. It only takes a swipe of a pen for the government to say, make it so.
In terms of the retail offering and how people's retail experiences have changed in the last 2.5 months, will that potentially change some aspects of things?
Not really. So again, this is 3 years. So we've got to fast forward into 3 years. The brands, if anything, a city is made by people and experiences. It's not made by a Zara. And Zara and all the brands are extremely happy. But the retail is extremely exciting because you're looking out onto the quayfront. That's unique. But brands have lost their head at the moment because they've overstocked and they're suffering downturn in footfall. But all the ones that are outside of the world of the UK who have had online offerings are saying, we're fine. We're actually, and it's even true of the independents, like in Waterford. You look, and that's what's inspiring, Damien. You're looking at how the businesses have responded and said, be that the tannery saying, "Okay, ring me and we'll do the collections." Momo, the Finders Keepers saying, "Look, ring us and online." Eamon down in the cycling going, he's so busy. He's unbelievably busy, and that's the kind of the opportunities it brings. It has just brought forward all the changes faster.
Talk to me, please, about the massive debate that's happening regarding the university. It's the only show in town, say so many people, that we go for a technological university, and there's some that say we should be going standalone.
It's tied into, like, first of all, the brain drain. To be saying we lose 1 in 4 young people because we don't have jobs, but that is fundamentally driven by a university which is supplying that talent into the catchment or the city. We're losing about 4,000 young people. That's 2 buses of people leaving the city every week because we don't create enough jobs for them. It's you wouldn't get this. I don't understand. Maybe it's me being away for 20 years of going, if we were in Cork right now, then we wouldn't be having this debate. We're a larger catchment. If we were in Limerick, we wouldn't be having this debate. Maynooth got a university within 6 weeks. It's the biggest economic and social opportunity in town, number one. There shouldn't be it's like saying, again, it ties back to North Quays. If it's 6,900 jobs North Quays creates, that talent should be coming from the southeast. That talent should be living around the city for vibrancy.
So are you in favour of a standalone university? I'm
in favour of a fully funded university which has access to capital, because the technical university is like saying you can have a house but you can't qualify for a mortgage. You can't build it. You can't grow it. You can't grow its potential. We've been under-invested for 10, 20 years. We need to actually get this.
But we're not going to get that because the government says everything is going along the lines of a technological university. That's the only show in town.
I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be doing a technical university that doesn't have access to funding. I would be saying it has to be a university that has access to funding, and the funding allows the university to grow. You had that in Cork there 2 years ago. Dairygold sold to UCC Business School for 17 million an acre, which underwrites the whole city. And that's the government saying, whoever's saying that, I don't know who's saying it, but I would be going, an acre costs $1 million in Waterford, so you're getting 17 times the return. You're getting $1 billion back to the exchequer. You're getting 10,000 jobs. Why isn't this the highest priority? Fix it for our future.
Fix it for our future. Rob Cass, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Appreciate it. I'm sorry we're running a little bit short on time, but all that breaking news this morning. Very interesting questions there. Let us know what you think. 083 333 975, and a special hello to Rob's children this morning.
Thanks, Damien. Bye-bye.
Now, welcome back to the programme. We are in Dungarvan. Some people saying, what is the situation with GAA pitches? Waterford GAA hasn't given the green light to return to GAA pitches. What's the situation there regarding cool camps? We're going to be dealing with that on Tuesday. Paul Power, chairperson of Helping Hand Waterford, gives a special mention to Help Out, Sleep Out. And it's an event that's been organised in association with the Waterford Rotary Club, and raise awareness on that. You can get more details online about that. A special mention as well to all in Colligan GAA. They're doing special fundraisers over the weekend to Gavin and everybody there. A lot of texts coming in about Brendan Bowyer. What a brilliant voice, what a crowd pleaser, what a real down-to-earth legend of entertainment, a kingpin of the halcyon days of the show band era. I may not get to all those texts if I don't, and for birthday requests I'll ask Jeff to read them out later. I want to say happy birthday though to my sister Siobhan Robbins in Skippereen Lawn. Says Phil, Pat and family, enjoy your special day. People remembering the first dance in the Olympia and many, many others. I'm going to go straight though to John Connolly of the Lifesaver Foundation. We're going to talk. John, good morning.
Good morning, Damien. Someone must be here as you're interviewing me.
It is, John, yeah, and our programme is very tight this morning because we've a lot of things on, but I just want to reiterate the message we've been putting out all week. And there was an incident in Newtown Cove yesterday where a person was injured, apparently diving off a cliff. We're not sure. The importance this weekend of safety, and every weekend, safety on the water. Lifeguards will not be on beaches and coastal areas until the weekend after next. So the beaches are basically open, and it's going to be a very, very hot weekend, John.
Yes, it is. And if I could start by basically saying that high tide on the Waterford beaches will be about 11:30 tomorrow, that's Saturday morning, about 12:30 on Sunday, and then about 1:30 on Bank Holiday Monday. So that means we have midday tides. This also means that the tide will be close to full in when families arrive at the beach, and the tide will be ebbing or going out all during the afternoon. And because of that, the water will be deep and cold. So my first piece of advice is this: enter cold water slowly. When entering cold water, it's better and it's especially not safer. It's not better and it's not safer to get it over with quickly by diving or jumping in, because cold water triggers a gasp reflex. We inhale when the cold water touches our skin. It's a reflex response. Unless you're a year-round swimmer, we can't stop it. All we can do is adapt to it. And if I were lucky enough, Damien, to live within 5 kilometres on a beach, and I'm not, unfortunately, and I wanted to go for a swim, this is what I would do. I would walk out into knee-deep water and then stop. And then I would splash the water onto my face and my body. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to trigger that cold water reflex while I'm standing in shallow water. Then I would walk back onto the beach and sit in ankle-deep water and continue splashing the water onto my face and body. It only takes about 3 minutes for our bodies to adjust to the cold water. Now, if you're of an age when you should be concerned about your heart, and I am, you want to make sure that you feel no chest pain, no breathing difficulty before you go into deep water. And if there's any chest pain or breathing difficulty, then you stay out of the water and you tell those who are with you. So my survival message to young people, and to young people who I know are going to ignore this, enter the water slowly. As you jump into deep water, or if you fall into deep water, you put one hand over your mouth and nose, and with your thumb and your forefinger, you close your nose, and you press the palm of your hand against your mouth. Now, this way, when the cold water hits your skin and you inhale, what you will do is actually suck in the skin on your hand, and you'll avoid choking on water. And this doesn't apply just to young men jumping off cliffs or to people falling into the water.
Yes.
It applies to all situations where a listener or someone finds themselves falling into water, with or without a life jacket. Just put one hand over your nose and mouth, close your nose with your thumb and finger, and then press the palm of your hand, and you'll stop inhaling water.
John, that's really, really good advice. I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. There's an awful lot more on the Life Saving Foundation website. John Connolly, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I really appreciate it, okay?
Okay. Damien, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, John. As I say, we're up against time this morning. We've lots of different items coming up, but very, very important information there. Some lovely text coming in again about Brendan Bowyer. A text in from Bowes. Bowes gave the Royal their first break here in 1956 before a Mick Delahunty club danced their fee, £18. When Mick Dell came on later, he made a remarkable comment. I think we've seen the start of something tonight. If you haven't heard it already, the death has been announced of Brendan Bowyer. Now, we're going to be talking about sporting heroes in a minute. Kilrossenty lost a sporting hero during the week. John Kiley, good morning.
Good morning, Damien.
John, it's a lovely sunny day. We're talking about people that have died, Brendan Bowyer being one, obviously, but a lot of people mourning the death of Michael Prendergast this week.
That's right. One of our legends here in Kilrossenty, and it's only a few short months ago since his lifelong friend and neighbour over the road, Billy Kerwin, died. And Billy won 6 championships with us, and of course Michael won 7. And both of them were outstanding members of the Clonasian hurling team in 1952. Of course, Mick was a big strong man, a farmer and a successful dairy farmer, and few was there with his wife Hannah. We had 4 lads there: Tom, Pat, Michael, and Noel, and Mary, Ann, Phyllis, and Joan, the daughters. And on behalf of the club, I'd like to express our sympathy to the family and to the extended family, indeed, on the death of Michael. And he's a lifelong member of the club here. And after his playing days were over, he was involved in several committees. But it is really as a player that he will be remembered.
Yes,
his playing career started in 1948 when, with his neighbour Billy Kerwin, they were successful members of the Sarsfield's minor football team that won the county championship, and they missed out on the double when Mount Sion beat them in the minor hurling final that year. But in 49, the 4 in a row began with the win over Dungarvan, and in 1950 successfully defended it against Old Parish, and then won back-to-backs in 51 and 52 against Kill. That was the year in which the boys doubled up with Jiminy in Power, of course, who was also an outstanding hurler and a member of that team, and they won the double that year, as I said, with Clan A. And in 1956, the Phelan Cup started, and Mick Prendergast, of course, was the captain of the Kilrossenty team that year, and Kilrossenty won that after a series of some tremendous games with De La Salle and the Bricky Rangers. And in 57, we retained the Phelan Cup and also won the championship, captained that year by Jiminy in Power. Mick then went on to win the senior. We went on to win the senior championship again in 1957, beating Mount Sion in a replay. In 1960, won it again. He won his 6th medal in 1960 when we beat the Brickies up in Dungarvan on a really bad day in December, when he gave an outstanding performance, man of the match performance in that final. In fact, all the local papers, Damien, that year gave him the player of the year here. That was his best ever year in 1960.
Yeah, a phenomenal... we won't be able to go through it all, John, because unfortunately, as I said, we're up against time with Brendan's death, but a phenomenal personality and a lovely, lovely man, I'm told.
A lovely, lovely man, and of course, away from football, he was a well-known bridge player and a very good bridge player and a poker player. I played poker with him for years himself, and his wife Hannah. Hannah, of course, was a member. You're going talking about sporting heroes in a minute. Hannah Kerwin from Ballygowla, from where the Kerwin family of the famous Kerwins of Kilkenny emigrated from Ballygowla. In fact, one of the legendary brothers is buried in Kilrossenty, a guy called Eddie Kerwin. But Percy Kerwin, of course, was one of those that won the 3 gold medals at the Papal Games in Rome in 1908 in the long jump, the 100 metres and the 200 metres. And he also won 3 the Triple A's in England. He won the long jump 3 years in a row, 1910, 11 and 12.
John,
and he has about 3. You're finishing up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, listen, you're very good, John. We could talk for a long, long time about it. I wanted to give him a mention this week because deepest sympathy, John, to everybody in the Prendergast and all in the club. Okay.
Okay, good luck. Thanks.
John, God bless you. Thank you so much. John Kiley there, remembering the great Michael Prendergast. Stay with us. We're talking about sporting heroes. I want to give a special mention. Ian Galgi and the lads are doing a fundraiser. 10,600 raised for the weekend that's taking place tomorrow. Please give us a shout out. This is for Bomber. You'll get more details online and on Facebook.